I don't give anyone a reason to hate me. They create their own drama out of pure jealousy. They may create their own drama, but it damn sure don't lead to murder.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast with me, Kay, the Texas girl in a Georgia world. Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right? It is Sunday, August 10th, and your girl is feeling much better than last week. If y'all heard last week's episode, y'all know I sounded like I had a frog in my throat trying to get through it, coughing and all of that. But I am feeling much better thanks to a lot of medicine. I've been taking, NyQuil and Theraflu, drinking hot toddies, all of that. And I got to see my boss get married yesterday. Like, it was absolutely amazing. She looked so beautiful. It was a beautiful outdoor wedding, and the reception was indoors. Like, the love that you could just see in that place was just amazing. Me and my coworkers, we danced, we drank, had a great time. I had gotten all dolled up, which was something I haven't done in a while. So I got all dolled up, got my hair done, had the makeup, on point, had the nice dress fit in the body and all of that. Looking real good. I even got up on the dance floor when it turned into karaoke night and I broke out with a little Proud Mary. Now, I will say I did get a little sad for a minute, thinking about the stuff that I've got going on here. But nonetheless, I am very happy for my boss because those two are absolutely beautiful together. So, congratulations to my sergeant. She was such a beautiful bride. It was a beautiful day. I'm grateful that I got to witness it. It was just so amazing. Now, what y'all drinking on tonight? Now, me, I'm sipping on some more of that Dough Balls whiskey, the birthday cake flavor I was telling y'all about last week. Y'all, that shit is so good. Listen, I drank a lot yesterday at the wedding, so trying to take it easy tonight because we drank a lot of hurricanes and rum punches and just everything you could think of. And then it turned into beer pong. So it was just like, yeah, I got to kind of take it easy today because we drank a lot yesterday to celebrate, and I got to work tomorrow. So yeah, definitely going to be sipping slow. But tonight's snack is gonna be some Junior Mints. It's probably not a good combination with the liquor, but listen, it's gonna work for me tonight. Okay, so don't judge me, judge your mammy. Okay. Anyhow, I hope y'all got y'all snacks and stuff ready because this week's episode is definitely one that I feel some type of way about, honestly. Like, one thing I hate to see in a relationship is where one person is dimming the other person's light. Like, when you're with somebody, you're supposed to be supportive, you're supposed to be uplifting, you're supposed to have their back, you're supposed to be congratulating them when they succeed. Like, why hate on somebody? Because that's exactly what this motherfucker did. Y'all know what I'm about to say, right? Let's get into it. So hop on in and buckle up, baby, because we about to take a ride back to 2019 in good old San Antonio, Texas. Now, we may not need a full tank of gas, but this one definitely got some winding roads and sharp turns. So y'all ready to ride? Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Andreen McDonald, victim, Auburn Hall, Andreen's ex-boyfriend and side dude, Hyacinth Farron, Andreen's mother, also goes by Maureen, Cindy Johnson, Andreen's sister, and the infamous murderer of the week, Andre McDonald. Andrine Nicole Anderson was born September 23rd, 1989, in Port Antonio, Jamaica, to her parents Hyacinth Farron and Paul Anderson. Now, for the purpose of this episode, I'm going to call Hyacinth Maureen because that's what she went by to a lot of people. Andrine was the second of three daughters. I wasn't able to locate one of the sisters' names, but I know she does have a sister, Cindy Johnson, who she was very close to. She grew up in Port Antonio, Jamaica with her family. And although things didn't work out with her parents, Andrine, she still felt love from both of them. Her father ended up going on to marry another woman by the name of Paulette Affleck Anderson, but they were still very much a happy family. Andrine was very popular and had many friends, one of which was her bestie, Mandy Hall, who was always with her. They attended the same schools, hung out with the same people, the typical teenage life. Well, not the typical teenagers. They weren't rich, but, they lived pretty good lives. Andrine and her friends and family, they knew that, things weren't as good in Jamaica as it was in the US, and they had dreams of going to the United States to make a better life. Like that's how they envisioned it. Like if you wanted to make it, you went to the US. Baby, I probably would not recommend that now because with who's sitting in office, mm, that's all I can say. So Andrine attended Norwich Primary School during her elementary years, and then when she got older, she went to Titchfield High School. She was very smart and excelled academically, like extremely, like she was extremely smart. She attended Excelsior Community College and she earned an associate's degree in business studies with a major in marketing. Now, Andrine was always very busy, always in the midst of things, always wanting to know what was going on, always pushing herself for greatness. And it didn't go unnoticed. She was dating a wonderful man by the name of Aubin Hall. Now, Aubin was a pretty nice looking dude. I gotta say so. Homie looked good. Okay. Like body, cute face, all of that. Fine tattoos, all oh, shit. Mm, and it all belonged to Andrine. He also lived in Port Antonio, Jamaica. He and Andrine were actually high school sweethearts. And he and his brothers, Levi and Owen, they were really, thick as thieves. They had the same kind of mindset that Andrine did, where they were very business oriented. They had a restaurant, Roots 21, that served authentic Jamaican food. I just had some Jamaican food yesterday. Oh, it was so good. Man, I might have to go back and get some more today. I don't know what it is about Jamaican cabbage, but listen, let me get some cabbage and some plantain. Ooh, yes. And yes, I said plantain, folks. It is not plantain, it is plantain. Okay. I don't know where the plantain came from, but yeah, to anybody that is saying it wrong, get it right because these Jamaicans will correct you. Okay. But anyway, sorry, I got off topic. I'm sorry. I'm hungry. But anyway, during the time that Auburn was with her, they were the typical teenagers in love and, oh, baby, I love you. We're going to be together forever. All of that cute stuff. Like, it's cute, but sickening at the same time. Like, I'm watching one of my teenage sons go through it right now. Boy is 14 years old. I don't know what little Tater thought done broke his heart, but he been listening to Five Steps by Drew Hill on and on and on. Like, I'm just like, damn, what did this little bitch do to you? Like, oh my God. Like, I can hear him in the room just singing it. Just, we were five steps. And I'm just like, I'm about to step your ass out this house. I'm so sick of that song. Like, oh, these little teenagers just think that their little hearts is just broken when they end a relationship. Like you ain't gonna meet another chick or another nigga 5 minutes later. Like, uh, is this really how we acted when we were teenagers? Like, was I that bad? I feel sorry for my parents now. Like, I really feel bad for my parents because damn, if that's how I acted, mm, Anywho, but like most teenage love affairs, eventually the two went their separate ways, but they were still good friends. But Andrine wasn't single long because while living in Port Antonio and dreaming of, making a life for herself in America, she came across a very dark and handsome man. Well, at least handsome to her. I'll put it that way. Andre McDonald. Andre Sean McDonald was born February of 1979 to Jackie Horn and Everton McDonald. Everton also went by Beachy Stout, something important to remember for later, by the way. But Andre was also born in Port Antonio, Jamaica. Like, there's not much on his childhood, but he did eventually leave Jamaica to go into the military. He joined the U.S. Air Force, where he worked his way up to captain. He had spent, some years away from Jamaica, but as luck would have it, he had to return to Jamaica for a funeral in May of 2009. And that's when he met the beautiful Andrine. Now, he's about 10 years older than her, but the two met and instantly they fell in love. Like within days of being together, Andrine decided that she was going to pack up her life and move to the United States with Andre. Um, Listen, I'm all for love. I understand love at first sight and all of that, but baby, mm, the parental part of me is just like, my child just going to up and move with a stranger. Oh, okay. Yeah, we gonna see how this go. But I guess Maureen was cool with it. She approved it. Andrine could have that life that she wanted and the man that she loved. And in July of 2009, the two got married and he took her back to the States with him where they settled in good old San Antonio, Texas. Now, life moved pretty quickly for the couple once they got settled. Andrine enrolled at the University of Texas San Antonio, where she completed her bachelor's of business administration in finance. And Andre continued to work his way up in the military ladder as well. And during that time, the two of them moved to San Antonio. They were blessed with a beautiful daughter, Elena, that was born April 2nd, 2011. Like, oh, I love new babies. And by the way, shout out to Mara from Sisters Who Kill, who gave birth to the latest podcast edition. Congratulations on your bundle of joy, boo boo. He is adorable. Okay, all right. I promise that was the last distraction. Back to the story. Anyway, with Elena, as she got older, Andrine and Andre noticed there were some issues as far as her developmental delays. Like a lot of children, unfortunately now, Elena was diagnosed with autism. And y'all know I take a special connection with those that are on the spectrum, as I have two beautifully made babies that are, uniquely on the spectrum. And I love my awesomely autistic little ones. But nonetheless, Elena was a beautiful little girl, and you could tell that she was really loved by her mother and father, who made sure that she had the very best care and services to help her excel, especially by her mother. Now, even though Andrine had become a mother, she was really wanting to get into other areas outside of motherhood and, put her degree to use. And so she went to her husband, Andre, and she was like, Babe, I really want to start a business. I've always had dreams of owning my own business and helping the elderly. And Andre believed in her vision, so much so that he completely emptied out his 401k and sold his BMW to help her make that dream come true. And together they started their own business, the Starlight Homes Assisted Living Facility. Y'all, like Andrine was only 22 years old and fresh out of college. Like that's such an accomplishment. That's a flex for somebody that moved to the States at 19, gets married, has a baby, graduates college, and now you're starting a business. Major flex. And Andre was, experienced because he's well off into his 30s, giving her his wisdom. Like, you know, they were the power couple. And like a lot of businesses, they had their struggles. It started off small with only 3 residents, but the business quickly grew and it continued to grow larger and larger each and every day. And before the two of them knew it, they had two different locations for the assisted living homes. The home-based business turned into a multi-million-dollar enterprise, which is just amazing. Like, she was doing the damn thing to not even be 30. Hell, to not even be in her mid-20s, you know? And Andre had his own stuff going on too, even though he started off as a captain in the Air Force, he went on to do greater things. He became a cyber warfare analyst and eventually a major. So, by all accounts, they were both doing really well. And then on top of it, his wife is killing it when it came to personal fitness. Like, Shotty Girl was like the female Thor or some shit. Like, there were videos that were posted of her literally bench pressing like 300 pounds. Like, she was one of those that was not going to let having a child stop her or anything. Like, more power to her. I'm lucky if I can get 5 push-ups in. And even then, whew, they the girly ones. So, hey, more power to her. Now, many of her family and friends, described her as a young woman with boundless optimism and joy by varsity and humor. And I heard friends say that she had a deep capacity for caring and thoughtfulness and being selfless and showing affection. She was courageous. Like, she had a unique ability to create friendships with people that she just randomly met. And it was like they were family. And it's rare that you meet people like that. Like, I consider myself a very sociable person. I can strike up a conversation with anybody, so for her to be able to do that and they feel like family, like it's rare that you see stuff like that now. And one person that she was very close to was Carol Ganbar. Now, she was a really good friend of Andrine's. She was also in the assisted living business, and they were, I guess you could say, rivals, but they were really good friends too. They had been friends pretty much almost since she started Starlight Homes. They would go to the gym and work out together. They saw each other all the time because of business functions being in the same industry. And they would hang out. Like, I saw a lot of pictures of her on her social media where, they were celebrating birthdays and all of that. But one thing about is Andrine is that she lived her life by routine. She would go to work every day. She would go to the gym at Iron Tribe Fitness. And of course, she would be home with her husband and child. Now, I was looking at her social media and I saw a lot of her posts about the marathons that she would run and everything. And it was a few posts where she talked about how she at one point had dusted, Andre. Now, she called him Andy, which was weird, but yeah. So she talked about, how she would beat him in races and all of that. Like, this woman was literally doing a damn thing. Like, I saw a video from November 30th, 2018, where she was running with her husband on her back through the house, and he's like 185 pounds. Like, I strive to do that so much. I mean, not to the point that I got a man on my back or nothing, because nah, but just to the point where I can just run and have that much weight on me and not break, not drop, not be asthmatic afterwards. Shit. And of course she's under 30. So there's that factor cuz yeah, I'm not near 30, but still that's something that, people strive for. But one thing about her is that, even though she had her fun, she definitely stuck to her routine. Like, she did not play when it came to work or, her family or her goals. And it showed in the progress of her business. In 2018, Starlight Homes Assisted Living received the Minority Rising Star Firm of the Year award, and Andrine was asked to be the keynote speaker. And Shotty Girl got out there and talked about how she really started from something so small and how it turned into something so major. The businesses had won the Best of Senior Living in San Antonio award. They also won the Caring Stars award for 2018, all kinds of stuff. She was truly an inspiration. She and her husband were living the dream life. But that dream soon turned into a nightmare. Psst. Hey, Raleigh, North Carolina. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Look no further than Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh. Located at 2511 Wake Forest Road, they have a fantastic selection of the latest Hyundai models just waiting for you. Their dedicated team is available to provide you with top notch service and unbeatable deals. And don't forget, ask for Tony McLaughlin. He's ready to help you find the perfect car for your needs. Visit Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh today, where quality meets affordability. That's Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh, located at 2511 Wake Forest Road. And tell them the infamous one sent you. Things weren't always peachy with her and Andre. They had their couple spats like most. Sometimes Andre would be gone for months at a time because of the military, and that would leave all the responsibility to Andrine. And sometimes Andrine would be gone as well. Like in 2017, on one of her trips to Jamaica to go home to visit some family, Andrine bumped into an old friend, or I guess you could say an old fling, good old Auburn Hall. And well, it didn't take them long to reconnect at all. Now, although she was married, she did find herself, kind of falling for her ex a little bit more than she should. And the two of them ended up crossing that line. And for about a year, they kept it going. They was on some sneaky link until maybe the summer of 2018, which was really some risky shit. Like they kept hooking up, kept hooking up. And Andrine just kept finding ways to get back to Jamaica, And on one of them trips, she did kind of some stupid shit. Her and Auburn went and got matching tattoos. Now, both of them had names that started with the initial A, obviously. So each of them got the same A tattooed on them. But then she took it a step further and got this other tattoo on her that was Auburn's birthday. And she got it on her wrist and it said 14.3.76. So when her best friend Mandy saw it, she was like, "Girl, what the hell did you go and do?" And Andrine, she knew it was goofy, and she told her, she was like, "Yeah, girl, I know it was silly, but it's done now. You know what you want me to do?" And, at first, Andrine is thinking, okay, everything is cool. Andre ain't gonna know what's going on. At the very least, shit, it's the letter A. Tell him it's for Andre. But she knows that it was something that wasn't supposed to be done. It was something that she did on impulse. It happens. But as time goes on and her behavior continues to be a little suspicious, because when you getting some good dick, like when you getting that Jody special from Baby Boy kind of dick, you start acting all kind of ways. Okay. Like when you getting dick down on the regular, people can tell something is up. And Andre could tell that something was up with his wife. So, he decides to start doing some outside investigation of his own. So he goes on social media and everything, and he sees that her ex has the exact same tattoo of the A on his chest that his wife has on her. And he's like, okay, what the hell? So he goes to confront her about it and he's like, "Hey, what the hell is going on with you and this man? Like what's up with this tattoo? Are you fucking with him again?" And she doesn't deny it. She lets him know what it is. Hell, just about everybody knew except for him at this point. She had already, talked to her mom and her sister about it. And although they weren't, approving of it, they minded their business because at the end of the day, that's between her and her husband. And all they can say was, "Listen, be careful what you're doing." And normally Maureen is telling her, she's telling her daughter, "You're a married woman, you need to act as such. Like you can't be out here having an affair." And when Andrine confirmed it to Andre that she had been unfaithful, Andre wasn't happy about that at all. So if you remember, I said that, Carol and Andrine had become really close. Well, they confided in each other, and Andrine had been telling her about, the relationship drama that she had been having with Andre, mainly because even though they had decided to work on their marriage and Andrine had apologized to him for the affair, Andre had become really violent towards her. But She had actually told Carol that if something ever happened to her and she came up missing, that it was because Andre had killed her and that, she needed to contact the authorities. Now, see, if y'all recall a couple of episodes back, I told y'all that you need to have a just in case something happens kit. This is why. Now, granted, she verbally told her friend, but you always have to have some type of evidence when you have an in case something happens to me situation because y'all are going to see why in just a minute. So, like, you know, Andrine is telling her, like, yeah, he's becoming more violent. He's angry all the time. All of these things are happening. And he's constantly confronting her. He's like, yo, you really want a divorce right now. And, that was my Jamaican accent. I'm sorry if it was offensive. And, but Andrine, she's like, Andy, that's not what it is, And he told her, I'm telling you right now, you need to cut this shit off with him. And you're going to cover them tattoos and you're not going back to Jamaica without me. And she agreed. She was cool with the demands because, I mean, that's her husband. She knew that she had, kind of messed things up or whatever. And so she wanted to fix it. They would, be cool one day and then beef the next. Like they would kind of go back and forth through the motions with each other. One minute, everything was sweet. And then the next thing, sour. And I mean, to me, that kind of just seems like I don't wanna say a normal relationship, but I know relationships have their ups and downs, and there's days where, it's not always, sunshine and lollipops. And sometimes that's what it was, and it got to the point, though, that folks saw it publicly. There was an incident that occurred at a Christmas party in 2018 where Andre and Andrine got to arguing, and shit actually got physical. Like, baby, the way them folks was shook in that house, they watched them fighting each other. But then the very next day, the 2 acted like shit didn't happen. Like, talk about confusing. Both of them wore the masks very well for their relationship. But, ultimately, they seemed to be getting things back on track. She had thrown him a great 40th birthday party, and they seemed to be very happy. But it all came crashing down when Andre got some shocking news about his wife that he knew nothing about. February 28th, 2019, Andre and Andrine go to see their tax preparer because, they got to get ready for the fiscal year and file their business taxes and all of that. So while they're there, the tax preparer is going over all the information and he says something about a business that Andre had never heard of. See, Andrine had put a business in the name of their daughter, Elena. And so Andre is like, what the fuck is this other business he's talking about? And she was kind of like nonchalant about it, which only pissed him off even further. And so Andre's pissed off because he's thinking, my wife is trying to rob me. She's taking my money. What the hell is she doing? And this started like this all out, drag out, just knockout fight. Andre's like, you know, how the hell you just gonna start a whole other business without talking to me about it? They're arguing the whole way home. They yelling and screaming at each other, and he's pissed, because he's like, you started a freaking business in our daughter's name and you didn't tell me. Like we supposed to be in this together. You just doing all this shit without me. What the hell is wrong with you? And Andrine is letting him know, look, I started this business. It's what I wanted to do. Why are you so upset about it? And he's like, what you mean? Why am I upset? Like he's arguing. Like, how are we in this together and you making moves without me? You done had this business for a whole year without me knowing about it. But Andrine, she ain't backing down. And they're arguing the whole ride home to the point that when they do get to the house, he leaves to go to the gas station because he's still so mad. He goes down the street to the gas station in his car, and they're arguing through text messaging at this point. And somehow the conversation shifts to her affair. And, she's done with it. She flat out tells him, if you bring up Auburn again, I will divorce you myself. And he tells her, I don't care if you get a divorce. You brought him into our lives. So they're going back and forth, but it gets so much worse, y'all, because after that, it goes quiet. Now, Andrine is at the house with their daughter. And according to Andre, after he came back from the gas station thinking, that he could cool off, it did the opposite. He was still heated. They kept arguing, and he was like, okay, you know what? We just need to get a divorce and split the assets. And according to Andre, his wife got so upset and so mad, and she just charged at him and came running out the room that they were in and just hits him. Now, again, this is according to Andre. So Andrine is so mad at the mention of divorce that she comes up to him and she spits at him in his face, and he grabs her, and like the two of them headbutt each other, and it causes her to get a cut on her face. And she's shocked at the fact that, he could do this to her. So she goes to look in the mirror and she sees that she's been cut. And when she sees this, there's blood on her face, she just goes insane and starts attacking him. And he manages to knock her down because he's so afraid that she's gonna hurt him and all of his little 85 pounds, despite the fact that she's like only 150 pounds soaking wet. But he's so afraid of her that he knocked her down and just started kicking her and stomping her over and over and over until she stops moving. Now, if this actually happened, doubtful. But he did knock her down and stomp her. He did kick her repeatedly. So she stops moving, and all of a sudden, he hears footsteps. And when he turns around, he sees their 8-year-old daughter, Elena, coming down the stairs looking, trying to figure out what's going on. So he's freaking out. He's like, fuck, why is she awake? So he grabs his daughter and he goes back to the bedroom with her and puts her in the bed. And he tucks her in and he tells her that he loves her and, all of that stuff. And 30 minutes later, he comes back to find his wife on the floor, dead. I mean, of course, you would, seeing as how, you kicked and stomped the shit out of her, of course she would be dead. But at this point, panic sets in. He's trying to figure out what the hell he's gonna do. He's pacing. Fuck, I figure something out. So he comes up with the bright idea to take Andrine's body, drag it through the house, put her in the trunk of his car, then drives her to a field. From there, he takes her out, takes all of her clothes off, and leaves her in the damn field, and then goes home like it was just another day at the office. So when he gets back to the house, he tosses her clothes in a pile in the backyard and sets them on fire to get rid of the evidence. And essentially, he like burned a patch of his yard. Like that's how bad he burned it. So he cuts her cell phone off and he goes to bed after his long day's work. Next day, he leaves to go to work, and Carol and her people, they're at the gym waiting on Andrine. They're all supposed to be working out and everything, but she ain't there. They're looking around wondering, okay, where's Andrine? So Carol starts making calls. She calls Andrine's coworkers and the staff at the assisted living facilities to see, if maybe she switched it up and went there, but nobody had heard from her. Baby Carol was a real one. She knew something was up with her friend. She gets one of her employees and they ride over to the McDonald's house. Listen, Carol is a real friend. Okay. So she gets to the house and she knocks on the front door, but nobody's answering. So she goes to the back of the house and she can hear the dogs barking, but there's like nothing else coming from the house, which at this time of day, it should be fine because people are at work and whatnot. But what Carol did notice is that the back door was unlocked. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, Carol is of the Wahite tribe. Okay. So Carol's curiosity got the better of her. All right. She took herself on inside the house with her coworker. That's just something that melanin mamas just don't do. Okay. So she sees Andrine's car in the garage. She sees her purse is there, her phone is there, but she can't find Andrine. And she's like, well, my word, this looks strange. And I mean, it was because, the dogs didn't have any food or water and they had pooped on the floor. And Andrea she didn't play about her house. Like it was spotless. So Carol's walking through the house and she's like, something's just not right. And when she gets to the master bedroom, she sees this like little bit of blood on the light switch along with some hair. And so Carol tries calling her again, but still no answer. Everyone is calling Andrine. Andrine, where are you? Answer your phone. We're trying to make sure you're okay. And at this point, Andre knows that he's not going to have much time to finish what he needs to do because people are expecting her. So he goes to the Lowe's home improvement store and he gets 2 cans of gasoline, a shovel, and an axe. And then he brought some trash bags, a hatchet, and some gloves. And he goes back home. Now, Carol and her employee have left at this point, but she called her friend Brian Ray, who works for the police department there in San Antonio. The funny thing is, when Andre came back home, Carol was right down the damn street at the gas station calling her little friend. Now, Brian is a homicide detective with the San Antonio Police Department. So, Carol's telling him, hey, my friend is missing and I don't know what to do. Can you tell me what I got to do? And he tells her, darling, you need to contact her mom to file a missing persons report. And that's exactly what she did. But Andre decided to throw her off a little bit because, in the midst of all of that, Carol had also called him to figure out where his wife was. And Andre tells her, "Oh, I'm sure she's probably at home." But, Carol tells him, "No, I've already been to your house. She ain't there." So now Andre knows that people, done been to his spot. So he tells her, "Okay, you know what? I'm leaving work now. I'll go check it out for myself." Thank God Carol didn't trust it. Instead, Carol does like Brian suggests, and she contacts Andrine's mother, Maureen, and she tells her what's going on, and they head, over to the house. And when they get there, Andre's there. Now he leaves, and Maureen is looking around when she notices the burn pile that Andre had made in the backyard. And she leans down and she looks closer and she's like, "What is this?" She bends down and she picks up a burnt zipper and she frowns and she's like, "Clothes? Is this clothes?" And she calls 911. Now, while she's doing that, Andre acts like he's concerned and goes to the hospital, y'all. He goes inside that hospital. "Yes, I'm looking for my wife, last name McDonald." And he gets told that she's there, but that's about like all the information that they gave him because Homeboy done already walked up out of there. So he goes back to the house, and the cops are there at this point because Maureen had called them, and they're asking him, "Mr. McDonald, your mother-in-law reported your wife missing. Do you have an idea as to where she is?" And Andre is chill. He just tells them, "Oh yeah, she's not lost. She's at the hospital. I just left there." And the cops are surprised. They're like, "She's at the hospital. Is she okay?" And he's like, "I don't know. I didn't really like see her condition or anything." And the cops are confused as fuck, as everybody is, because like, how the hell do you not know what's going on with your own wife? Like, she's at the hospital, but you don't know why. Okay. So they called the hospital to verify Andre's claims that, Andrine was there. And it's a good thing that they did that because Andrine was not in the hospital. Surprise. It was someone there with the last name McDonald, but that must have been the man with the farm because it damn sure wasn't Andrine. And from that point on, Andre becomes a person of interest. And just as fast as, you know, he became a person of interest, he stops cooperating. I mean, like, homie stopped answering questions and, he was just like, "I'm done talking to y'all. I'm not answering shit without my attorney." Talk about suspicious. But, the cops fall back. They respect his wishes. That don't mean they ain't watching his ass though. So they tell him, "All right, cool. We're gonna leave you alone for now." But they weren't about to just let him go either. So they go ahead and they get some undercover agents on Andre to watch him. And it doesn't take them long to find out anything because around 2 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, they notice that they've got undercover investigators sitting outside of his house. Now, they notice that the garage has been damaged and they see it when Andre's backing out of the garage. Now they follow him and they followed him to this gun shop, and there he purchases a 9mm handgun and some ammunition. Baby, that was all they needed. Them investigators was like, "Got your ass. We gonna take this motherfucker down." Andre comes out of that gun shop and those investigators bum rushed him and took him down in a very violent manner. Like, I watched the video and they tagged that ass quick. So they tell him, "Hey, we got to put you under evaluation." And they turn him over to the military police. Now, the military police, they take him for a mental eval. And when they leave with him, the investigators go back to Andre's house and they get a search warrant. and they start checking everything in the house. They check Andrine's car, they check his stuff. Now, they happen to see a trash can in the garage and they see that there's some stuff inside of it. So the cops look in there and they see Andre's clothes, which is hella odd. So, they little spidey senses are tingling and they're like, well, why the hell are his clothes in here? And when they take a closer look at the clothes, they see that there's blood on it. So they had to figure out, whose blood it was exactly. And they continue their search through the trash can. And they also see a claw hammer with blood on it, as well as an axe. So they take it to the crime lab to be analyzed, and they find out that the DNA is from Andrine. So now the investigators are thinking, this hammer and this axe gotta be the murder weapons. And they know that Andre had something to do with his wife's disappearance. But even though they had the blood on the pocket and the murder weapons and the burnt zipper and the burn pile and the blood inside the trash can and all of that, they couldn't prove fully that it was a murder. All they could prove was that obviously she was missing, but something is telling them this was a homicide. On March 3rd, 2019, the Air Force completed their evaluation of Andre and they released him from their custody. But as soon as they released him, the San Antonio Police Department arrested him. Not for murder, but for tampering with evidence based upon that torn receipt that they had found from Lowe's. So they arrest him and they put him into custody and everybody is just shocked. Like Andrine's mother and sister, they're both thinking like, could he have really done this? Like and then, Andre's mother, Jackie, for her, she's like there's no way that my child could have done something like this. The investigators are trying to talk to him. They're trying to get information from him, but he is clammed up. Like he's not talking to nobody. So they lock his ass up and the community comes together and they start looking for Andrine. People are scouring properties and everything. The entire community comes together. Former Air Force Airman Bobby Green, he conducted a task force to help look for her. And while that's going on, Andre is arranging himself to get out of jail. Like he posted bond and he officially takes over management of Starlight Homes. Now, y'all want to know what's really messed up? While he's so busy, not once did he help go look for his wife. Not once. And this is his wife, like your rib. And of course, people are pissed off because nigga, you just showing guilt. Like you showing you did something. The fact that we out here looking for your wife and you sitting your little burnt bacon, extra crispy looking ass at home watching TV or doing God knows what while we out searching. Okay. So he's trying to run the facilities and everything, and he's staying real low key. Like if he's not managing the businesses, then his ass is at home, rightfully so, because nigga, one wrong move and it's a wrap. But time is going on, and still nobody is able to find Andrine until July 11th, 2019, when there's a sudden break in the case. Looking for a book that resonates with your soul? Well, look no further than Author K, a master ghostwriter, storyteller, and author who weaves tales across multiple genres, from heartwarming romance to gripping urban horror. Whether you're searching for a contemporary romance that sweeps you off your feet or street lit that reflects the realities of life, Kay's writing speaks to the heart of every reader. Her work also passionately highlights the Black Lives Matter movement, bridging narratives that matter. Dive into the journey of discovery, empowerment, romance, and connection through Kay's incredible reads. Visit www.mizk.com today and dive into a world of unforgettable tales. That's www.mzkaye.com. Your next favorite book is just a click away. Clifton Clabundy was a local farmer that had some property not too far from the McDonald's household. On July 11th, 2019, around 7:30 that evening, he's out roaming his property when he sees some bones that don't look like they came from an animal. Now, he sees some cow bones, but then he looks closer and he sees that there's human remains as well. And so he calls 911 and they come out, and sure enough, they find a human skull mixed in with the cow bones. The very field that they found this was about 6 miles from Andre and Andrine's house. So the police take the remains in and they test it, and it comes back that it is indeed Andrine McDonald's skull. And now the cops have what they need to officially charge Andre McDonald with murder. Andrine's sister Cindy, she's at church, and when she finds out, like she was actually there praying for her sister's return. And she finds out and she just breaks down. Like she's just distraught. July 13th, 2019, Andre McDonald is arrested and charged with the murder of his wife, and he's taken to the Bexar County Jail. And this time he's held without bond. An autopsy is performed on Andrine, and it was discovered that she had a fractured spinal cord, broken rib, and busted jaw. But despite all of that, they still can't determine how exactly she died. Now, the coroner stated that it was homicidal violence, which included blunt force trauma. So she definitely was murdered. They just didn't know exactly like how. Now, while the prosecution is getting ready for trial, investigators are looking into text messages between Andre and his wife, and he had been using this particular app, WhatsApp, where they see a lot of messages between them where they're arguing over, who was really in charge of the businesses. And there's this one particular text that she tells him, Starlight Homes is my idea, my dream, and would have not happened without my drive. Like, I know that's right. That's some boss shit. But they start seeing all these different messages. One was from her friend Andrew Russell, where Andrine told him that, Andre was going to snap. And if y'all remember that Christmas party that they were at where they got into the physical altercation, Andrew was there and he witnessed them fighting. So the cops were definitely interested in that and finding out, what happened. Now, it took several months because investigators had to do their jobs, but on Saturday, December 7th, 2019, Andrine was laid to rest at the Sunset Memorial Park and Funeral Home in San Antonio, Texas. And because of the amount of lack of evidence, it took a while for Andre to go to trial. And when I say a while, like his trial didn't start until January 17th of 2023. This woman died in 2019. Okay. He was able to get a reduced bond in November of 2021. So he kind of stayed like low key at that point because he didn't want to bring any more smoke his way. But then 3 days before he was supposed to go on to the trial, he did something very surprising and honestly for him calculated. This man called Maureen and Cindy and had a 41-minute conversation and told them everything that happened according to him. He told them that Andrine had started an affair with Aubin that just tore him to pieces, and he forgave her and that they were working on their marriage. And he explains that the two of them got to arguing and that she attacked him in a blind rage, and that he knocked her down and kicked her a few times, accidentally killing her. So basically, he made it seem like it was just self defense and that, it went too far. He tells them that when Elena came downstairs, he left Andrina on the floor and she was still alive. But by the time he put Elena in the bed and came back to the bedroom, she was dead. So he tells them, like, yeah, I took off her clothes and I burned them and then I put her body in the car and I was going to chop up her body. Like, he did this little confession 3 days before the trial. And this is where I start to think.
No, you done fucked up, right? No, 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 no. You know you done fucked up, right?
Because, bruh, do you know what the fuck you risked calling your mother-in-law and your sister-in-law telling them how you killed your wife? Like, do you realize how stupid that was? Or was it actually smart? See, when Cindy and her mom hear this, she called the prosecutor and she says, hey, Andre just called us and told us what he did to Andrine. And that means now they have to put Andre and Cindy on the stand because she has to tell the jury what exactly he told them in that phone conversation. Stephen Spear, Lawrence Scott, and Ryan Groomer were all the Bexar County assistant district attorneys that prosecuted the case. And Andre is ready as well. He's got his top notch attorneys ready to fight. John Hunter, Zoe Russell, and John Convery. And this case was a fight to the finish. And it was one that was very tricky because when they got him on the stand, Andre knew how to perform. They were his star and only witness. Andre McDonald got on that stand and baby, he wore them down. He talked about how he was at the tax preparer's office with Andrine and how he found out that she had started a new business a year earlier without his knowledge. His attorney, John Convery, asked him, "Well, what did that signify to you?" And Andre tells him, basically, that meant to me pretty much that she was robbing me. The questions start leading to, when Andre killed Andrine and what happened. And he starts telling the jury when she comes, she's like throwing like some punches. So I'm trying to like duck down to and like keep my head, my face from getting hit with the blows. I remember like grabbing her and like tripping her. And then she like falls. And that's when I kicked her like twice. The second kick, I think I heard like some type of wheezing, and then also, like in the background, I could hear like some footsteps. I became like pretty frantic at that point because, she's dead on the floor. Yeah, that's how he was talking. Like, legit could not formulate a sentence. And so the prosecutor asks him in cross examination, did you ever think about dialing 911? Very valid question, ladies and gentlemen, because she's laying there this entire time and not once did you think to say, hey, let me call 911 since it's an accident. But Andre looks at the jury and then he looks at the prosecutor and he says, I never thought about calling anybody to revive a dead person. My purpose at that point was simply to get her out of the house so that my 7-year-old daughter wouldn't see her mother lying on the floor dead. See that right there? That would have had me jumping over that barrier to whoop his ass. Cause really, nigga, your morbid corpse looking in the face ass don't deserve the air you breathe. As my good soror would say, I hope that you breathe slow until it stops. Mm. Now, after putting Elena back to bed, Andre said that he dumped Andrine's body in the field, stripped her naked, and came back home to burn her clothing, which, is what left that burn patch in the backyard. So the prosecutors asked him about the blood on the hammer and everything, and he tells the jury that when investigators finished searching his home, he went back to the field early in the morning while his daughter was sleeping, angry, and, armed with the yellow hammer, a can of gasoline, and a plan. And then he then proceeds to say, my plan was to hit the person that caused this whole circumstance. And the prosecution says, so you felt it was her fault, right? And Andre replies, it's absolutely her fault. Prosecution asks, what he did with the gasoline, and he says, I poured it on her, and then I used the lighter and set it on fire. And then I attacked her corpse with the yellow hammer. I hit her in the face, the neck, and I just hit her again as I was walking away. And the defense jumps back on it and they're trying to get the jury swayed on, why Andre committed the crime to actually sympathize with this dickwad. Like they made it seem like he was just such the victim. And they asked Andre, have you always believed that you acted in self-defense? And Andre answers, yes, I have always believed that from the very beginning. Then these little slick motherfuckers start showing videos of Andrine giving Andre a piggyback ride and her workout routines and all of that. And basically trying to make it seem like she's roided out or some shit. And Andre is, landing on thick of how physically fit she was and how she could lift all this weight, which is, true, she could. But he's trying to make it seem like he was in fear of his entire life. Like she was just a monster, despite him killing her, stripping her, and beating her, as well as setting her on fire. But he was so scared. Like, be fucking for real. The trial lasted 13 days, and the prosecution called 33 witnesses, including Cindy, but the only witness that the defense called was Andre. And sadly, they sold that shit because after almost 11 hours of deliberating, the jury was deadlocked. They were unable to decide if Andre McDonald was guilty of murder, manslaughter, or not guilty by self defense. Naturally, this had Andrine's family hot. See, the thing is, the jury never thought he was innocent and that he didn't kill Andrine, but it was a matter of if it was intentional or not. Which to me, when he said that he took his anger out on her and kept hitting her post mortem, that was where it should have been decided. But, I digress. So the jury consisted of 6 men and 6 women, and it was split initially between half of them thinking murder and the other half thinking manslaughter. But as the deliberations continued, some of the jurors had been swayed, and it changed to 9 of the jurors thinking manslaughter. This son of a bitch was actually able to convince the jury that it was accidental, because after the judge invoked the Allen charge, which is it's basically urging the holdout jurors to reconsider the evidence and reach a unanimous decision. But after another hour of deliberations, the jury reached their verdict. On January 30th, 2023, Andre Sean McDonald was found not guilty of murder, but guilty of the lesser charge, manslaughter. Manslaughter. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison for the manslaughter plus 5 years for tampering with evidence. Now, the judge, Frank Castro, he felt some type of way, of course, but his hands are tied. Now, Andre did get credit for time served. Typically, a defendant is eligible for parole in 10 years once they're in prison, but because he had already done some jail time, he was eligible for parole in 7.5 years, which means he'll be eligible in 2030. Now, everyone had different reactions to the verdict. Andrine's sister, she was like manslaughter after he spoke with no remorse, no love, nothing at all, and used a hammer, stripped her clothes, threw gasoline on her, burned her, and they gave him manslaughter. That's crazy. I'm going to struggle with this thought until the day I die. It's 4 years. It took him 4 years for him to recognize that he did what he did. And then all of a sudden, he's reaching out to us to let us think that he's being responsible. He didn't mean anything. He's lying. All is a lie. It's all a lie. The prosecutor, Stephen Spear, when he was interviewed, he said, I was disappointed. However, the jury rejected his self defense argument and held him accountable for at least something. Now, one of Andre's attorneys, John Hunter, he tells the media this is a win. Despite how I believe that this is a self defense case, I do respect the outcome. One of the children's advocate read a letter that Elena wrote him as part of the victim impact statements, where she said to Andre McDonald, "You killed my mother, you took away my life, and you broke my heart, and you hurt my feelings, and you will pay for what you did. You will be punished forever." Her sister Cindy asked, why was she murdered in the first degree? Why not divorce? You can think that you can't escape your actions. You can't escape God. You had no respect, no remorse for your ruthless actions. Now, Andrine's father, Paul Anderson, he actually forgave Andre. More power to you, because fuck that burnt Tootsie Roll looking asshole. But he told Andre, you hurt my family. We spoke like fathers. You've hurt me. In spite of everything, I forgive you. I love you. That cannot change. A part of me is going to jail. I forgive you, and it's your duty to see God. I forgive you. Fuck that. Fuck you. You killed mine. Fuck you. Now, after all the letters were read, Andre is escorted out of the courtroom to the Bexar County Jail where, he was waiting to be transferred to prison. The Bexar County District Attorney, Joe Gonzalez, issued a statement and said, although nothing we do will bring Andrine back, the sentence will bring some finality and enclosure to her family. It's our hope that holding the defendant accountable for manslaughter will bring some measure of justice to the memory of Andrine. I wish to remind everyone that domestic violence in Bexar County is a scorch on our community, in our office, and we will continue to fight it every day. Andre is now inmate number 1792591 at Garza West facility in Beesville, Texas. Now, shortly after he was locked up, Andre's mother, Jackie, tried to get custody of his daughter, Elena, arguing that she was more than fit and capable of providing a stable environment to raise her. But Mama Maureen said, the hell, she was living in Jamaica, but she made it known that Andrine would have wanted her, granddaughter to be raised by her family. She argued that Andre's family, given their connection to her daughter's killer, was not a suitable environment for the child. Now, Andrine's father, Paul, he even tried to get custody, but Maureen argued that he wasn't around enough. And the courts ultimately sided with Andrine's mother and granted her custody of Elena. And it made sense because she had the best connection with, her maternal grandmother. But to make sure that she really gut checked that ass, Maureen and the family pursued a civil lawsuit against Andre McDonald for her wrongful death. In 2023, the courts awarded Andrine's estate $210 million in damages, holding Andre McDonald responsible for the loss and suffering that he caused. Serve that ass while he was in prison. Gotcha, bitch. Yeah, y'all know them businesses are all Maureen's right now, right? Now, Andre filed an appeal, but of course it was denied, and he's still in Garza where he will be until, at the minimum, 2040, but he will be eligible for parole in 2030. Want to hear some crazy shit though? Everton McDonald, who was Andre's father, is in some hot water too. Literally the day after Andre is sentenced, his father Everton, who goes by Beachy Stout, is getting ready for trial for the murders of not one but two of his ex-wives. Everton was a businessman in Portland, Jamaica, and he hired this guy named Oscar Barnes in July of 2020. So Oscar killed his second wife, Tonya Hamilton McDonald. He slashed her throat and then set her on fire inside of her car. The judge in Jamaica compared her death to that of like an animal slaughter. So once everything came out, the judge sentenced Everton and Oscar both to life in prison. Now, Everton sold his old ass is 70 years old and he'll be eligible for parole in 29 years. But here's the thing, he still has to go to trial in 2026 for the murder of his first wife, Marty McDonald, who was killed in 2009. Jesus, Devontae Christ. Like Andre is just a chip off the old block, clearly. All the more reason why his ass should have been convicted of murder and not manslaughter. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Andre McDonald, the miniature man with the Napoleon Complex. And now it is time for Fair or Foul, where we look at the justice system to determine if the sentencing was indeed fair or if it was just some bullshit that's going to have us sitting back saying, what the fuck? On this one, I'm definitely sitting back saying, what the fuck? Like, this man only got 20 years. And the fact that even out of the 20 years that he got time served for the 3 years that he was in jail, not to mention is eligible for parole by 2030. Fuck out of here. That's some bullshit to me. Like, at the end of the day, this man murdered his wife in cold blood. Andre, yo oxtail in the face looking ass murdered your wife in front of your child. You had no kind of remorse to do some stuff like that in front of your child. You had no kind of thought as to what the fuck that would do to her. After all of this shit that went down, this baby is scarred. There was an article that said that she literally was sitting in class telling her friends that she was going to cut them up and she was going to hit them with a hammer and she's going to burn them alive. Like, this is a baby on the spectrum, and you felt like you could get away with murder because of the fact that she's not, like the average child or whatever. Like, you didn't even think about how the fuck this would affect your daughter. This is your blood. Andrine is your wife. And let's talk about the fact that you were jealous of the fact that your wife was outshining you. You had the military thing going on. You were doing great things, but you were jealous of the fact that your wife was doing something that didn't involve you. And well, actually, I can't even say that it didn't involve you. You were jealous of the fact that she was doing something that was making her look better than your Keebler elf looking ass. And instead of you being supportive, instead of you saying, damn, that's my wife, look at my baby go, you tried to dim her light permanently. You are a fuck boy at its finest. You got the audacity to have your burnt baked potato looking ass mad at the fact that she was achieving her goals. Most men want a woman that's accomplished. Most men want a woman that can be a wife and mother and still be a businesswoman like Andrine was. This woman was beautiful. She was a businesswoman. She was a wonderful mother. She was a great wife to your crispity, cracklety looking ass. And she was physically fit. Then you tried to use that shit against her and say that she attacked you? Be for real. The fact of the matter is that you had that Napoleon complex shit. And trust me, I know from experience, most of these little short motherfuckers is out here trying to get attention and trying to make themselves bigger than what they actually are. And that's exactly what the fuck you did. If y'all see the pictures, you'll notice that she's a lot taller than him. And typically, I've noticed that the men that are shorter than their spouses or their girlfriends or whatever you want to call it, they have that Napoleon complex. They have that, oh, I'm big and bad, look at me complex. And it's just and it's not just when it comes to spouses either. Like, when they feel inferior to those that are bigger than them, man or woman, and you felt fucking inferior. You felt threatened. Now, yes, I do understand that she did have an affair on you, and that was really fucked up. And she acknowledged that, and y'all supposedly worked through that. I'm not saying that's right at all. but it doesn't warrant death. It did not mean that you had to kill her the way that you did. It did not mean that you had to kill her at all. So the fact that the justice system only gave you 20 years is some bullshit. I can only hope that when you are in prison that you come out wearing a fucking toe tag. I can only hope that your shriveled up microwave brownie looking ass gets what's coming to you on the inside. Thank God that her family was able to take custody of her child. Thank God that Elena is going to be raised by her grandmother so that she can have those memories of her mother. And having to pay that $210 million to her family, that's exactly what the fuck you get. I'm glad that you got to sign over your entire estate. Your wife's mother is getting everything as she deserves to. I'm glad that your ass and your pop's ass is in prison, like father, like son, apparently, because this motherfucker murdered two of his wives. So it has me definitely side eyeing you. It has me looking at you cross because it's clearly hereditary. I can't fathom why the justice system just sat back and said, "Hey, we're going to give 20 years." I mean, I get it. At the end of the day, you have to do what the justice system says, and the judge's hands are tied, but it's still some fuck shit. It's still some shit that has me sitting back saying, this shit ain't cool at all. At the end of the day, why kill her? Huh? What was your reason for it?
What was the reason?
Cardi, I I swear I don't know, sis. Like you could have taken her to court, you could have sued her, you could have worked through the shit, but you took away your child's mother. You set her on fire. Then you beat an already dead, decomposing body. How is that accidental? Like, come on now, Texas, y'all got to do better. Ugh. That is all for this week's episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. That's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. And you can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group, the Infamous Ones discussion group, but please be advised if you don't answer the questions, you ain't getting in. Okay? That simple. But once you get in, let's chop it up. Come on in, sit down, take a seat. Tell us what you're sipping on because we talk about the real in there and everybody has fun. Plus, I like to do little surprises here and there. You can chat it up with me and the other mobbers in the Facebook chat, Steady Mobbing. So make sure to join. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so on and so on. So leave a review. It only takes a few seconds, and the reviews do matter. And now, speaking of reviews, the first one comes from Apple Podcast from Genesis 813, 5 stars, and it says, "Telling stories with my girl. Came across Infamous Ones while searching for true crime podcasts and have been hooked from the start. There are so many reasons why. One, the storytelling feels like I'm just chopping it up with one of my girls. Two, the story and point of view is real and relatable, and I love it. And three, the way she supports other Black podcasts is amazing. Makes me so proud to be a Black woman. Keep doing your thing with so many true crime podcasts out there. Yours truly stands alone." Thank you, Genesis. I appreciate it. I will admit, lately it's been kind of hard, but I'm pushing through. Sometimes I don't necessarily, feel the love, but these reviews really keep me going. So thank you. I love that everyone feels like they just chopping it up with their home girl. I love supporting others, even when I may not receive the support in return. For me, it's not a, oh, I'm only going to support you if you support me. It's a, hey, there's room for everybody to eat. The next review also comes from Apple Podcasts from Fishbone Wife. I think I said that right. Also 5 stars, and it says, "What a gem. I absolutely love this show. Heard about it from Melanin Mayhem, and I'm so glad I did. Wonderful storytelling and such insightful and passionate remarks. Keep mobbing, sis." Thank you, doll. And shout out to Melanin Mayhem, of course, and all the wonderful Black podcasters out there. Keep tuning in to them. Don't forget, y'all, August 30th will be the debut episode of The Missing Ones, a true crime podcast. And I am so excited about this. Like, y'all will get me 2 days in a row every week, Saturdays and Sundays. So they are going to be epic, baby. Got the weekend on lock. And speaking of epic, the live show for October 25th is approaching. Tickets are on sale at a discounted price of $25 until the end of August. Now, I'm going to tell y'all with these sponsors, there's got to be a certain amount of ticket sales because they have spent money on the venue and alcohol and all of that. The show is October 25th. It is going to be fire. But y'all got to purchase these tickets. Now, the tickets are normally $50, but right now until August 31st, they are $25. So you'll get a new case, a performance from my bro Seven to Panther. There's going to be signature cocktails, meet and greets with yours truly, photos, and of course, some true crime. But the show may be canceled if the minimum ticket sales aren't reached. So let's get them tickets, y'all. I'm going to post a link for Eventbrite in the Facebook group, or you can just go to Eventbrite and search Infamous One's meet and greet. You can also check the website www.theinfamousones.com for information about the episodes and upcoming events. Shout out to Nabi Robbins on the dope website design, by the way. Like, he really did the damn thing. If you want to support the show, or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor we've been sipping on, click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to subscribe. Subscriptions start at 99 cents, or you can also donate via our Cash App to $Infamous One Pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. And donations go toward court documents, research, JPay, all of that. And as always, shout out to the Popcorn Gang. Now, if you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space or sponsorship opportunities, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamousonePod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. Once again, people, please share, share, share. The podcast is growing by the day and it means the world, so keep sharing. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl, Kay. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all Sunday with a new episode. Stay mobbing, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.